Right, we're here at the back of the Artrix in the sunshine listening to the birdsong with Andrew James O'Brien. Now, you're on tour over here in the UK. First of all, are you enjoying the tour?
It's been amazing so far. I mean, we're opening up for one of my heroes, Paul Brady, and that in itself, I mean, that's something that never really occurred to me that it would ever happen, you know. So we were going to love this tour no matter what, and it's just been fantastic.
Yeah. Now, you're also touring off the back of a new album as well, or it's certainly only just been released, literally hot off the press here in the UK. And the album's it's received a lot of very good critical acclaim, as well as your fans enjoy it, don't they?
The response has been incredible so far, and I mean, this is my third tour in England, and of course I've done some dates in Wales and Scotland. And it really feels like this tour, there's kind of something at work now. You know, the response has just been getting bigger and bigger, and you know, the comments that I've been getting from people post show in particular, I mean, it's very encouraging, certainly.
Because it's worth sort of emphasising that I mean, you come from a country that has a rich tradition in singer-songwriting, doesn't it? And it's is that something that does it inform your music, or is it just something that you're aware of in the background?
I definitely think, you know, I mean, I've got certainly a lot of my influences are Canadian. Whether or not it informs me stylistically and musically, I can't necessarily say, although I'm definitely acutely aware of, you know, the influence and where that comes from, and I definitely try to, you know, keep aware of the fact that I'm just one very small link in a massive chain.
Yeah.
And again, I'm just, the opportunity to come over here and perform on the other side of the ocean songs that I'd, you know, kind of written in my room.
Yeah.
That doesn't get lost on me. It's pretty cool, you know. I mean, and to play these big, you know, theaters and halls with Paul, it just, I think that the type of music that I'm doing lends itself to that environment. And, you know, back home, this is the kind of theater that we would be playing here. You know, these kind of soft seat venues, and to be able to jump right into that with an artist of such profile as Paul, I mean, it's a favorable situation for sure.
Yeah. Wonderful, because I know that I mean, listening to the album, your songs they're very personal, aren't they? It's about exploring the human condition, but obviously through the way that you've experienced it and through your eyes. Would it be fair to say that?
That's definitely the case. I mean, in terms of my writing, as of right now at least, it is autobiographical, and I haven't really, you know, tried to venture outside of my own personal experience right now, because I feel like that well is still being tapped. You know.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. That's fair enough.
Every day you live is another story, you know.
Yeah.
So that's where the inspiration comes from.
I was going to say that. So therefore, when you get inspired for a song, do you get lyrics first? Do you get tunes? Which way around is it for you?
Usually, well, I mean, all of the songs come from personal experience. So typically, what happens first is the experience, whatever that might be.
Yeah.
And sometimes the song is immediate, and other times it might be a month after the fact, and it might take a month to write. But I find that the best songs, at least in my opinion, and the ones that I feel closely to, are the ones that were just written in a flurry, you know, in 5-10 minutes, and you look back and you don't even realize where they come from, you know, sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, not to sound kind of, you know, flaky about it, but there is that element of, you know, you're just a conduit, I suppose, for some, you know, passing.
I don't think that sounds flaky at all.
Oh. That's definitely how it goes. I mean, you know, I'll pick up a guitar and just kind of, you know, flirt with some chords and see what happens, and then the melody follows. And usually, you know, if I'm feeling something about a particular event or whatever, I'll just kind of try to work the words into that. But usually, it's almost like, I mean, songwriting, when I try to write songs, is very difficult, but like I say, the best ones come out of nowhere, just like out of the sky. Yeah. And they come through you and out the other side, and it's very surreal. It's scary though, because you don't know when that's going to happen. You know. Yeah.
Yeah. I would guess so. The muse has to come upon you, does it?
I believe it does. Yeah. I mean, at least for me. Yeah.
Well, that seems to be a reasonable way of working. If it works, then that's the way to go, really.
That's right.
So yeah. Now the album, obviously, as I say, it's received a lot of acclaim, and rightly so, because it's a smashing album, and it's one that we've played heavily at the Bridge. when you're putting your songs together, do you have an album in mind? Is it thematic, or is it just purely and simply, well, these songs seem to go together?
Yeah, I think it's probably the latter ultimately. This is my first collection of songs, so realistically it was just, I didn't really know what I wanted. I knew I just wanted the narrative to be the focal point of the music, and I'm very proud of the album. You know, I mean, there are elements of it that looking back on it, I would have loved to have gone back and reworked, you know. But at the same time, I think every artist is like that, and I am very proud of it. I think, like you say, in terms of the collection of songs as a whole, it was just a matter of, these are the songs I feel confidently in at this moment in time.
Yeah.
Which in Canada was 2 years ago. Like, so it's actually, for me, I'm re-promoting an album.
Yes.
Which is kind of an interesting thing, you know, to see the reaction kind of being relived over here, because it was quite well received in Canada too,
Yes.
thankfully.
Yeah. Well, of course, now, I mean, obviously, so you're performing live, and you're performing songs off the album plus other songs? Or,
yeah, well, you know, I'm here with my partner Catherine, actually, and you know, we sing together, and she's all over the album as well. And we've been throwing in a John Prine cover called "Angel from Montgomery," which is one of my favorite songs, and that's been going over really well. You know, you get a hoot and a holler every now and then when you when you start that song up. So it's been cool. It's a good way to introduce yourself too. You know, to get people's attention.
Absolutely. I presume it goes without saying, does it, that you actually enjoy the live experience, the interaction between them?
Absolutely. I mean, I think it's the most important thing. You know, these days, I think people, at least in my experience, you know, the audience wants to root for you. And I think that you need to be able to kind of allow for that interaction and allow for that relationship. You know, it's like, I want the audiences to come away feeling like we could be friends, you know. I mean, we might not ever see each other ever again, but I still want there to be some, you know, as much of an honest connection as there can be.
Absolutely. And well, you're achieving that through the album and through your live gigs. And we've just got to say about the touring experience, because I know that you've got quite a love affair going with the M1 motorway as well.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's been pretty good so far. Every now and then, you know, you'll get into a jam or whatever, but it's a fluid way to get around. And you know, because where I come from in Canada, you know, it takes a better part of your adult life to get from one end of the country to the other.
It's a bit bigger.
Yeah, it is. You know, and I just love seeing the countryside. I mean, it's easy to get through the hours of driving when you're in new territory. You know, I've been talking to, you know, audience members about the tour and where we're playing, and you know, they gasp sometimes at the distances, but to me, it's all relative. I mean, you know, I think you can feel like you're, you know, if you were working, say, for example, if, you know, for me personally, I'd rather be sitting in a car going to a gig than, you know, sitting at a computer, which is something I also have to do, you know, but I don't know. I mean, I think there's worse things you could do than, you know, driving to let people hear your music.
Absolutely.
It's just a small price to pay, I think.
Well, as long as you're prepared to pay the price, we're prepared to keep listening.
I thank you for that.
And so enjoy the gig tonight. Have a great, enjoy the rest of the tour. And thanks for coming over and sharing the music with us.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.
Brilliant.
Cheers.